Okay. All right. Ready? 3, 2, 1. Live. We're live. We're live. We did it.
Good. We are live. I have this to show you. Yay. More fun toys. Very excited. Moving on.
Awesome.
So, what's up, man? Welcome.
Hey, how you doing? Uh-oh, am I not on gallery view? There we go. Now I am. What's up? Dude, I'm feeling a lot better. I definitely felt a lull after being sick and like just mentally, emotionally, I didn't feel like, yeah.
Not sick, but sick with the coof.
Yeah. I definitely felt that like I was just out of sync. I didn't feel like myself. I didn't feel like I was in the flow of things. But in the last week or two, it totally feels like it's ramping back up. I mean, I was using the tools that we talk about on the podcast to deal with it. Like the turning point was when I went into why is this happening? What is this? This is happening for me, not to me.
Right.
I was too sick before then to think that.
Able to have that thought.
That's exactly right. Like with cancer, it was easier to maintain that perspective from the very beginning because I didn't feel miserable. Like I had a gross thing on my leg, but I wasn't like dead to the world. And for 2 weeks, basically, I was so just physically out of it. But since then, like, man, my practice is like full. Like I have like, maybe I could fit like one more person, and my schedule, like I'm honestly like having to rethink my schedule because I'm booked, dude. It's great. I love it. I'm not complaining. And I'm also like, whew, like I look forward to my time off.
Did you do anything in particular to do that, or just everybody wants a COVID survivor for a COVID?
Referrals, man. Like I'm not marketing. Like I was doing some stuff for a little while, but then we kind of took a step back to look at a bigger strategy for the marketing, and so we're building some products and things to put out there. But in the meantime, it's just been this person told this person is like, hey, I have somebody. Can you make it happen? And I do. I mean, I will say, I believe that in the last year, especially, and the last couple of years, there's been a steady improvement in my coaching skills. And I think that I've really been challenging myself. I've been doing a lot of work. I've been like getting coaching on my coaching and doing a lot of study. And I think that the results that I'm getting with people are really, it's having that effect where they can't not tell people.
Yeah. Nice.
Which is, nice. I think that's the best marketing tool I know of.
It is. So. Yeah. Making your success stories, your commercials.
Yeah. Well, and also keep in mind, like my close ratio, because I'm not marketing and all these people are referrals, it's virtually 100%. Like almost everyone who shows up.
That. Give me that. Like,
they're ready already, which is so much easier. Yeah. I do want to create a sustainable machine that I can turn a crank and it just gives me like prospects. I don't have that yet. And I'm sort of like, I'm in this place where I'm like, living beholden to the law of attraction, and it's working. And I also want to supplement that trust and faith in the universe,
right?
That with like a machine that I can rely on.
Yeah, so, I have a colleague who's working on the machine, and he needs other gears in the thing. I'm like, and so he's going to start, overspilling. I was like, oh, that'd be delightful to be a part of your machine.
Yeah.
To see how a well-run business machine works. Because referrals has been my main thing. And it comes, it goes. Like, it's good. But the chugga.
Yes.
Really nice. And getting, like you said, something else, getting coaching in your coaching is also key. I've been in a school for that for a couple of years now. And, Igor's stuff is all about that.
Yep.
And not to mention the other cat whose name I forget, Pagan.
Evan Pagan.
Yeah. He's got some good stuff too.
Yeah, I dig that, dude.
Yeah, whatever you do, get coaching on it. Whatever you do, find somebody who's better at you and learn from them.
Yeah, get help. Stop trying to do shit on your own. Yeah. I just had this conversation with a client who I'm working with individually, and every single time that she's shown up to talk about her, we end up talking about her relationship. And then this last weekend, something big blew up. There was a big fight. And I just said, listen, I got to give you this advice. It doesn't have to be with me, but I'm telling you, don't try to handle this on your own. Go get help. Not because you have to have help or it won't work, but because why the fuck not? Yeah. Why would you not accept support and help to make this easier and faster and more efficient? Go get help. Yeah. Ask for and receive support. It makes your life easier.
Yeah. Yeah. Especially around breakups, man, because it's like, you're going to wish you did. You're going to waste 3 to 5 years spinning your wheels and still being angry. Or can you just when I had my breakup 6 years ago, I said to myself, I NLP'd myself, and I was like, I mean, I could still get help and still talk to friends and all that stuff, but I was like, how do I want to handle this now so that it doesn't become a problem for me later, where I have to look back and be like, oh, what can I learn from this? All that good stuff. So
there's an awesome metaphor I heard once about support, that it said there's a spectrum between support and challenge, and that too much challenge and not enough support leads to a tower that gets very tall and falls over. Too much support and not enough challenge leads to a very short, fat pyramid. It's not going to fall over, but it's not growing. It's not getting taller. Most people that I work with, and I'm pretty sure this is true with you, they're not in the camp of too much support, not enough challenge. They're in the camp of they already are challenging themselves inside, and the world is challenging them, and they've said yes to so many things, and they're like, no, I have to do it on my own. I have to be able to fix this on my own, instead of going, how can I get as much support as possible, while also embracing a good amount of challenge, so that you build a very, very strong, tall, beautiful building. Tower. Good. That's the word I was looking for.
Yeah. All right. Well,
I don't think we actually said welcome to the show. So, hey, welcome to the Living NLP show. I'm Nicholas. This is Morgan.
Hello. We talk about NLP and stuff.
Yeah.
We do. And
we already have been.
Yeah, we do it thusly. We tell an anecdote from our week. Then we tell a quote from a thing that we looked at or heard or that we were interested in, that we think has something to do with something we're talking about. And then occasionally we take a question from whomever might be watching. So if you want to keep an eye on that,
I feel like I've been talking the most already. So why don't you start with the anecdote?
Oh, okay. So my anecdote was I was listening to John Overdurf.
Where did you get that, by the way? I'm sorry to interrupt, but that's a rare program.
Colleague.
Cool.
And then also I got certified in NLP. Technically, I was a master practitioner 7 years ago because someone told me I was. But ever since then, it's pretty much every day I study NLP. I study hypnosis. I study psychology. I study pop psychology, whatever the fuck it is. You know what I mean? Every day, I'm always listening to something. So it's just that's a big part of it, anyways. Is well, what makes you so decent? Well, I focus on it, and it's something I think about all the time.
Yeah.
So he's talking about beyond words, which is there's quantum linguistics.
Yeah.
Which we won't necessarily have to get into the quantum of it all because it's so fucking quantum. But what Igor calls mind-bending language is the same thing. He took quantum linguistics, calls it mind-bending language, and it's just enough to make you go and just put you in that place of where you can then be, pushed somewhere else.
Yeah.
Or guided somewhere else.
Yeah. Gently coaxed.
Yeah. And so in that way, in Igor's land, mind-bending language is good for beliefs in particular, because it's words and words, and that's so you start to just get someone to Cartesian coordinate themselves around. Wait, did you look at it this way, upside down and inside out and backwards or whatever? And so he was talking, I'm not exactly sure how I'm going to structure all this, but he was talking about how this Overdurf, he was talking about how um, limiting belief is a limiting decision that you made about yourself.
Yeah.
And that limiting belief is in itself a nominalization.
Okay. Elaborate.
You took believing you are.
Oh, and you turned it into a
loser,
thing, a belief.
And you turned it into you.
Oh.
Who are a whatever, right?
Gorgeous.
So your belief, your believing about yourself became a belief. Your decision became, your deciding became a decision.
So denominalizing it would be turning the belief back into believing, which is something you're
at which
doing.
Point you can then do, because like the nominalization became you.
Yeah.
Your identity.
Yeah.
Whatever that thing was that you were experiencing, whatever the thing that was that you were thinking about the way you were being, all of a sudden turned into, this is how it is, and I am. And I thought that was an interesting insight. I mean, we all kind of
I've never heard any, if I have, I forgot it, but I've never heard anybody say a belief is a nominalization. And then the continuation of that is, so if you want to let go of a belief, turn it back into a process, which is like, why don't you stop believing that? Which even that sentence is a quantum linguistics sentence.
Right. So like, how are you doing that? Kind of
exactly.
Back into all that
That's
stuff.
Awesome.
But I thought it was a nice insight. It's like, oh, your idea, and because we all know that I is the biggest and shortest nominalization, but also all the things that go into making an I a me are also nominalizations. All the decisions you made about yourself are just, they're just a thing. And then when that thing becomes thing, it crystallizes, and then it's like, oh, that's the thing. That's the little kernel of nominalization. I am bad at talking to people. I am, girls are scary, whatever it is, that then even they're like, I'm a hippie, happy, hoopy, I'm living in the world, but somewhere inside of you, there's this crystallized thing that is not a verb, it's a noun. And so we need to,
such a good addition to, okay, so you have this complex equivalence. Girls are this, men are this, Republicans are this, Democrats are this. Whatever that complex equivalence, this equals this. But then to say, okay, that you call that a belief, and that's a thing you have, and it stays the same, and it's, you said crystallized, which I think is a great way to think about it. And this is like, how do you go in and say, no, that's a thing you're doing. You're believing that thought. So you can stop believing that and believe something else.
Right. It's not a thing. You turn from a thing you're doing into a do. You gotta turn a do you're thinking into a thing you're doing.
Or a be your do your thing.
So do my thingy.
That's good, man. I love that. So that was your quote or your anecdote? That
was my anecdote. Just like my anecdote was me learning stuff from someone who so Overdurf is the hero of Igor, his mentor.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Overdurf stuff, or Igor mentions a lot of Overdurfism. Oh,
okay. Well, he probably doesn't want to mention Tad, so that's why he does.
Right, but he does. But Overdurf mentions Tad a lot.
Yeah. They were good buddies.
Oh, and they fucking all the time do they say, whatever you think you are, you're more than that. Like throughout that whole thing, there's their big thing.
Yeah, I mean, I believe, as I understand it, that John and Julie came up with a lot of that stuff and shared it with Tad, and then Tad took a lot of it and ran with it, and then claimed that it was mostly his. And for a while he would mention them, but eventually never.
No one's gonna notice if I steal this. And then
and I mean, when the Timeline Therapy and the Basis Personality book, when it first came out, I believe the earliest edition had 4 authors underneath it, including Wyatt Woodsmall and Tad and I can't remember the other people. Eventually, now the book only has Tad. A lot of people in the field of NLP could stand to use it once in a while.
Actually, it's really funny. I don't know when that thing was, but it was so NLP.
What?
So like, just like they're like, yeah, we're fucking NLPing right now, man. And I think to myself, well, I'm probably doing that too. But it's so like they're like high on the
Right.
newness of the
Yeah.
technology, of the quantum, of all this stuff. And you're just like, okay, yeah, no, I
Yeah.
get it. But also some part of me, even though I'm a big bombastic weirdo too, was like, just come I don't know. It just maybe I was just projecting how awesome they were onto my own shadow. But
You know what I would love to see? I would love to see you go to a like that they have them now, but I'd love to see you go to a live Tony Robbins event and
yeah,
see if you can shut off the part of you that's like, are you fucking serious? Because I had a really hard time.
right.
But I also think that I was too cool for school. And
Well,
like, I
that's
actually think,
yeah, right.
yeah, a lot of what Tony does, if you give into it, is great. It's also brainwashing and
Oh,
very
for sure.
culty,
Yeah,
but
yeah,
it's
yeah.
also great. Like when everybody's fucking chanting and screaming, and if you're in that, like,
Right.
yes, that's going to open you up to deeper
Sure.
opportunities for
Yeah,
transformation.
yeah, yeah. But even so, it's yes,
I'd
yes.
be curious to see what shadow stuff would come up there, because I had a fuck ton. Like I was sitting there in the back, like not participating and like staring at Tony and being like, I could fucking do that. And like that's not what my face looked like, but
Right.
inside.
Yeah, sure. So that's
Yeah.
that's lots of that has been me through the ages as well.
Yeah.
But it
Well,
was interesting.
interestingly, you brought up quantum linguistics, and my anecdote is a little bit it's a little unusual, sort of like yours, or not common, not the way we normally do them. And it's also about quantum linguistics. So nice segue. Way to set me up. So I was having a conversation with, how much of this can I share? I was working with I have a client, and then occasionally this client's partner comes in to the sessions. And in this session, the partner was saying some things. I need to change the details so that if they ever hear this, they're like, that. They were saying something like, I've been doing a lot of work on myself. I've been doing a lot of healing. I've been doing a lot of spiritual practices and meditation. And the thing that I've been working on is worthiness. And they said, I am worthy. That's the thing that I've been working on, is really owning that I'm worthy, and that I'm deserving, and that I deserve to be loved and to feel happiness and pleasure. And I'm worthy of all these things. And it was like, when somebody says something about themselves that you can tell they don't believe yet, because they say it like, I'm worthy. Like, I know I'm worthy. And it's like, who are you trying to convince?
Right.
Right. So immediately, not my client, so I didn't do this, but immediately my intuition was, what this person needs to grasp is all the places they're not worthy. And so that made me think of a kind of practice that I've been doing it for years, and I don't think I really ever decided to do it consciously. It just kind of developed. And it's a sort of Cartesian coordinate meditation on the shortest and most powerful nominalization, I. So I am good enough. Right. This is one that so many people have problems with, that they say, I'm not good enough. And then you can get into not good enough for what, not good enough to feel loved, but whatever. That core thing of, there's just this feeling of, I'm not good enough. So what I found is that when you try to take somebody from I'm not good enough to I am good enough, it doesn't actually resolve the problem, because the problem is that's the same level of thinking. The place that you have to get to is the place where the question doesn't make sense. Am I good enough? Like, what do you mean? Like, up here, there's a third point that says, I'm not good enough, or I'm not good enough. I am good enough. I actually am not good enough in all of these ways. I'm not good enough to be in the NBA. And I am good enough to what? Right. So it's, the Cartesian coordinates allows you to stretch these boundaries. So what I do, and I do this a lot, is I will say a thing, and then I'll go through the other coordinates in my head, and I'll do it until they don't hurt anymore, right? So you'll find one, like, I bet there's lots of things that I could say to this person. I could have them say, like, I am tall. right? And they're rather short. So if you said, I am tall, and I am short, maybe that would have some charge on it. But if they said I am tall, probably doesn't have anything on it. But I bet if I asked this person to say, I am worthy, they would be like, I am worthy. I am worthy. And then if I said, now say I am not worthy, and believe it, like let it be true. Don't be afraid of that thought. Like let it in, because there is a part of you that thinks it's true already. So embrace that part, discover that part, get familiar with that part. Don't be afraid of it. Don't be like, no, I can't think that thought. I can't allow that thought that I am not worthy. If I ask this person to do that, say I am not worthy, all of this stuff would come up inside. So if I go, I am a man, and I go, I am not a man, and then I go, other people are men, other people are not men. Those are the 4 coordinates. If someone has a charge on I am not a man, and like you got to like play with it, like I'll say it over and over until I find a place where I'm like, oh, like you're not a man. Like, did that hurt? Did I feel self-conscious or something in there? And then I just keep doing it and keep doing it and jump back and forth between them and try variations on it. It's a weird, like improv free writing kind of, like I'm just verbalizing stuff. So I'll be like, I'm not a man. I am a man. I'm a good man. I'm not a good man. I'm a bad man. I'm a terrible man. I've never been a man. I'll never be a man. I am a man. I've always been a man. I can't not be a man. Like back and forth in this way until all of a sudden I'm like, I don't know what man means anymore. And I don't give a shit about you call me a man, call me not a man. I don't fucking care because it's just a word. What does it even mean? I don't. And you can do this with everything.
Right. And Tony Robbins.
It's very Robert Anton Wilson to me, I guess.
Yeah. And I think Tony Robbins did that kind of stuff too, where he's like, say it again, say it again, say it again, different, say it again. Until you're just like, wait, word? Like,
right.
What is that? Wait, like what? How does DOES? Is that how you spell that? Does?
Yeah.
Is that right? Like,
Does.
You know, like, wow, fuck, hang on a second. What were we talking about? Yeah, where words start to just go from here. Yeah, I like that.
So the quantum linguistics thing too, of like, where does it hurt? Like if you say a thing and you say it's opposite and it doesn't do anything, well, you probably don't have any baggage there. But find some that you're like, no, this one is true. Like I'm broken. Like people will try that one and they're like, oh, I don't want to say that out loud because there's a part of me that believes it.
Right.
So I'm not broken. I'm perfect. I am broken. I am fundamentally broken. I will always be broken. There's nothing I can do to fix it. What am I doing? I'm giving voice to a part. That's not all of you, but a part of you is afraid to consider those ideas, saying them out loud in that kind of free-flowing state where you can find a thing and then it will bring up emotion. Like I'll start to cry and I'll get angry about that thought. And that to me is like top-down bioenergetics works. It's using language to get into the trauma in your body, the deep trauma, and be able to bring it up.
Yeah. Because that's how you're structuring it, all those words.
Yep.
Call it.
Yep.
Yeah.
So I've done this with other people too. I've walked people through like, say this, now say this, now go back and forth, say the opposite, say it again, say it again, say it again, say it again, say it even louder, say it like you mean it. And then at some point, it's like the dam breaks, not just emotionally. Sometimes that happens later, but it's like the critical mind shuts off and they start getting in this flow of like, oh, when I say that, I can feel something shifting inside of me, which is that very beyond words, quantum linguistics feeling of like, I don't even know what I just said, what it means, but I can feel something.
Yeah, exactly. So that's exactly it. But it had nothing to do with quantum physics.
Thank you. Yeah.
I mean, so
go watch one of our older videos where
you guys call it
that.
Like an Igor calls it the trance of infinite possibilities.
Great.
Right.
Thank you, Igor. Thank you.
Right. You're like, cool. Yeah, anything can happen here, but it's not like it does not do with the quirks and just like stop.
Quantum physics is a wonderful metaphor to explain the nature of the unconscious realm, but it is not a one-to-one correlation. And just because you're thinking things in here does not mean that you are sending out waves into the quantum whatever. That's not how it works. I'm sorry. Talk to a real quantum physicist once in a while.
But so I'm going to go take some quantum vitamins and go do some quantum exercise. And then,
it's tough because you and I believe so strongly in the power and validity of these things. That's why it bothers us when people say quantum linguistics is an explanation or quantum physics is an explanation for why this works.
Quantum, like the definition of quantum, like it's either this or it's that. I get it, but that's basically the Cartesian stuff. You know, it's Cartesian linguistics, basically. But when you get to the home place, you can call that what you want, I guess.
It bothers us because when you make that correlation, when people make that correlation, it is so easy for anybody with a modicum of scientific understanding to poke holes in it.
Pseudoscience bullshit and all this stuff. And like, that's why no one takes NLP seriously.
Exactly. Thank you, Igor, by the way, for coming up with terminology that actually makes this stuff stand up to scrutiny. Like that has been one of the problems.
Yeah, because he's got that lawyer mind because he's attorney. He's like, what if we just? But he's also probably rebranding things, but still, just maybe if we just kind of.
Well, so are we.
Take the flop off.
Yeah.
And stuff it. So.
All right, you got a quote?
I do. Remember it. So other than listening to Overdurf, I've been listening to Alan Watts. I talked to you last time about the guy that came to see me for whatever, he drove 1 million miles. So listen to Alan Watts.
I mean, you mean your friend?
yeah, my friend John.
He came to visit. Yeah, a friend.
Yeah. So I've been listening to Alan Watts again because it's just like
it's fucking comfort food for the philosophical mind.
Give me some of that. And there's this quote. I was like, I'll find it again. I know it. I kind of remember it, but like when I heard it, I was like, oh, there it is. There's the quote after 6 hours, whatever I was listening to. And I'm trying to figure out the metaphor of the quote first. So we talk a lot about anxiety, right? Anxiety is just thoughts about, and like the recursive nature of thought and thinking about thoughts, and then thinking about thoughts, and what are my thoughts about my thinking about thoughts, and how do I feel about and you can just take that down like so Alan Watts says this, he was on TV and he goes, I'm going to do a little experiment with you guys right now. I'm going to show you a picture of anxiety. And he goes, Mr. Cameraman, can you please turn your camera into the monitor? And it's like, it starts going, it's like, okay. He goes, that was a picture of anxiety.
Like, is this black and white? Was he doing this? Like, dude, that guy was so far ahead of his time. Like, that's so creative.
And it just goes down forever. Like you're being stuck between two mirrors. And you're like, ah.
Wow.
So that I just thought was great. And the quote was, how does it start? There once was a man who said, though, it seems that I know that I know. What I'd like to see is the I that knows me when I know that I know that I know.
You're going to have to do that one again, my friend. Okay.
There once was a man who said, though, it seems that I know that I know. What I'd like to see is the I that knows me when I know that I know that I know.
Oh, dude, chills. Chills.
It is. I was like, yes, I'm hot.
Way to take, I mean, like what a beautiful illustration of the concept of the conscious and the unconscious, and making the unconscious conscious, and the all-seeing eye, the eye of the eye. Have you read that book?
No, but I read The Mind's Eye.
There's a book by the same guy who did Power versus Force, David Hawkins, I believe is his name. He did one called The Eye of the Eye, and he's talking about the eye, like it's I, this eye of the eye, and of the letter I, and he's talking about the self and the awareness of that. So it's very on having no head, but he's talking about it more philosophically, not so practical. Which, yeah, that's awesome. Alan Watts. I have been listening to him since I think I was a teenager. I think I found him right around the time that I started getting into Buddhism. And
yeah, he's just like up. And yeah, just like all of the things that I want out of a lecturer.
Yeah. And there's so many things, like when I read his books and I'm like, people knew about this in the fucking 50s. Why is the world not fixed yet?
Yeah.
Like he's
Well,
so on
that's
point.
how I feel about Buckminster Fuller too.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
so why is everything like this?
Yeah.
But yeah, he's super dope. So that was that. That was my.
All right. So my quotes are coming from I've been doing a little, I got intrigued by this philosopher because I ran into a quote of his in a YouTube video I was listening to, and then I started looking into his Wikipedia and reading some of his stuff. Johann Wolfgang von, is it Goethe?
Goethe.
Goethe. Okay.
Goethe.
So I've got a few quotes here that I just wanted to drop, but then there's one big one that I actually want to talk about. So one that he said was, which government is the best? The one that teaches us to govern ourselves. I thought you'd dig that.
Yeah.
Very NLP. He says, a man sees in the world what he carries in his heart. Perception is projection, motherfucker.
Yeah.
Okay.
He's Germanian, right?
What?
He's Germanian, right?
Yes. Yeah.
German.
Hold on. This is okay. This is small, so I got to lean forward here. Okay. Man knows only when he is satisfied and when he suffers, and only his sufferings and his satisfactions instruct him concerning himself. Teach him what to seek and what to avoid. For the rest, man is a confused creature. He knows not whence he comes or whither he goes. He knows little of the world, and above all, he knows little of himself. So one thing he's talking about there at the beginning is the primacy of pleasure and pain. And the idea to me that the animal, which you live inside of, we all live inside of an animal, that animal only cares about pleasure and pain. That is it. Doesn't care about anything else. It's not even capable of caring about anything else.
Right.
That animal is as basic as bacteria. They move towards what feels good and they move away from what feels bad. But then I think the point he's making here in this quote is that he's saying most people never develop anything beyond that. That there is a world of awareness beyond the pleasure and the pain, but most people are truly, I think, to me, I'm beginning to see more and more that is how I define waking up. Like being awake is coming out of that reactive space where, and I know I'm not the first person to say this. This is, other people have defined it this way too, but I'm really resonating with still being asleep is being programmed. It's being trained. It's being, you're still just Pavlov's dog.
Yeah. You just, if I say this word, you'll react this way, which I think
exactly
is what this country is seriously devolved into. Whether if I say blue, you lose your shit. If I say red, you lose your shit.
Yeah.
And you're all just like, then you red blue each other and you're all losing each other's shit. Like
yeah, social media is not helping this problem. Right. Technology is not helping.
And then meanwhile, the people up top were like, yeah,
right.
Say more blue, say more red.
Right.
And then just go. Yeah, I totally agree.
So waking up to me is I'm beginning to really understand is about transcending, which the only way to transcend the pleasure and pain paradigm is to master it. Like you have to be able to use it. You can't just go, I will forsake pleasure and endure all pain for purpose. That's not how you transcend it. That's how most people think you transcend it. You have to learn to train the animal with pleasure because it works better. And that's what can open the door to waking up to thoughts that are not reactions, to
Yeah.
behaviors that are not reactions, like stimulus response,
Right.
to actually have the what is it, the responsibility, the ability to respond as opposed to react.
Yeah, I think I wrote a million years ago. That was probably 19 in one of my poems. You have a responsibility to your ability to respond.
Yes, yes. And I'm really more and more beginning to see that's what I think waking up is. Waking up is you aren't just an animal anymore. And then acknowledging, holy shit, most people half a dozen thoughts in their life, maybe.
Yeah,
And
original one.
everything else is a reaction.
Yeah, and that's why I go so hard against certain belief systems.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because then they're like, don't have a thought, have this. Just let us cram this book full of A equals B, and even though it's not even in the fucking book, but we're going to tell you it says that, so you can just believe that, and at which point you have become a nominalization of someone else's shit.
Good, a nice fucking callback, dude, because that's exactly what we're talking about, is like turning the I into a process instead of a nominalization is another way of saying taking responsibility for your thoughts and your beliefs and your responses instead of just sucking it all down and being like, I'm not brainwashed. Right. Are you not though? Are you sure? Are you sure?
People who are like unquestioning about Joe Biden and his whatever the fuck he's doing because he's the good guy, because he's the blue guy, because he's not Trump, but or they have to just believe that everything. No, he's everything. It's all like, no, it's not though. It's
like, that went away for me with Obama. Like, I don't trust any of them.
No, and they're doing the exact same shit. But like, some people are like, no, he's in. Therefore, this worldview is true, all of it, because of this thing, which means all of this. And it's like, no.
Well, and to further complicate the nuance of this, that doesn't mean that I don't think Biden is better than Trump. I do. But I also don't unquestionably think he's doing wonderful things all across the board just because he's who he is.
Right. I mean, would you rather be kicked in the nuts or have a dog tear your nuts off with his fucking?
As South Park said, a turd and a turd sandwich and a douche.
But those two things, like a giant douche, yeah, exactly. So, but it's like, yeah, I mean, it's I just see it, and there's so much of the talk about brainwashing. There's people censoring people in America in 2021 because someone said a word or thought that like triggers all the way everything. Now everything, it's like everything goes back to Hitler, and like if you say something I disagree with, you're Hitler. You gotta.
What's the name of that law? That's a law that somebody.
The reductio.
Goodwin's law. Yeah.
Reductio ad Hitlerum.
Yeah. And now it's like that's the go-to thing
because
it's the worst example we can think of. Right. We would say the devil, but too many people don't believe in it, so we'll just point to Hitler instead. Yeah, again, I'm not saying that there isn't validity to these points, but
the brainwash is, obviously Hitler's bad, we know that. But like then say, well, that person you disagree with, they're Hitler. Oh, okay, like there's got to be some scrubbing between those two thoughts. Or something that does, because once you turn everyone I disagree with is Hitler into a nominalization,
right?
You're a fucking Nazi. It's like, I don't know how to tell you, but like that's fascism, bud.
Yeah,
censorship.
Yeah, I've heard that this quote may not be actually attributed to Orwell, but the quote, the fascism will take over.
Dressed in a flag of democracy.
Dressed in calling themselves anti-fascist. Yeah. So again, to me, what's the point here? What's the point of all this? When we talk about being being asleep, not awake yet, and being stuck on the pleasure pain paradigm. If somebody can say something and make you that angry, make is the operative word. There's a cause and effect violation in there. Well, they are making you. You don't have control. You are an animal reacting to a situation. So waking up means being able to take responsibility for those triggers and go, is getting outraged helping me? Is it helping the world? And when I look at people like Sam Harris or other people I respect actually commenting on the world and the political situation, Julian Walker is another person I deeply respect. These people are, they are not blown by the emotional winds of all this. They're actually trying to see both sides and recognize that everybody's crazy. Like 80% of people out there are fucking nuts, both sides. So the best thing to do from my perspective is don't identify with any teams. I'm not on this team. I'm not on this team.
No, that's if you ain't with us, you're with terrorists.
Yeah.
That's something a domestic terrorist would say, because now it's like, oh, well, if you're not like, silence is violence, bro.
Yeah.
Sorry.
What in the world is that?
You're like, holy shit, wait, what? Okay, like,
Well, dude, here we are talking about politics again. I didn't mean to do that. That wasn't where I was going with this.
You're talking about people who are brainwashed into just having knee-jerk reactions. Then there's that is politics.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yep.
Yeah. All right. Well, good stuff. Think for yourself.
Cool. Yeah, that was good. I like the quantum linguistics tie-in, and the quotes were really good this time. Fucking Alan Watts, man. Alan Watts, Robert Anton Wilson. I think they both get to count as patron saints.
Yeah, for sure, man. For sure, because they were all about just like, hey, maybe take a step back and think for yourself and see it from the other side, but also think for yourself and don't take it too seriously and like whatever, enjoy yourself, but also be better.
Yeah. That clip you told me about with you want to see a picture of anxiety. Fuck. Yeah. I'm
in the feedback.
That's exactly what it feels like. And it's exactly, from a certain perspective, what's actually happening is you're in a recursive thought pattern. You're looking at the thing and it's making you feel more of the thing. And then it's a feedback loop.
Yeah.
Depression's the same way. It's just a different one. You're looking at a different thing. Anxiety ramps you up. Depression ramps you down. But they're the same thing. Like you're stuck in a loop.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what do you do about that? Tony Robbins would say the fastest way to change that is change your state, change your physiology, and change your state. Yeah. Go outside, do some jumping jacks, take a cold shower, or a really nice hot one. Something that will change your state. Do breathing exercises. Fucking look up Wim Hof. That stuff is such a good reset. I always like to say breath is so magical, in part because you are never more than about 2 minutes away from a radically altered state, and your breath is always with you. No medication necessary.
Right. Whether that's breathing or hold your breath.
Or hold your breath. Yes, exactly. That's a radically altered state.
Exactly. After that.
Yeah. All right, man. That was fun.
Yeah, dude. All right. Well, have a good one, and catch you next week, bro.
Sounds
Hopefully it'll be the end of Preacher. It has an end. It has an end, which is nice because so many shows nowadays won't.
Yeah.
We'll talk about it.
Yeah. All right. Peace, love, and NLP, everybody.
Okay.